you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you hear Lil Baby, Drake, Migos, you name it. This is the type of sound that is popping today. So let me show you how to do better with the structure, with the sound selection, with the drum patterns, and we can take your music to the next level. So step one of creating a cinematic trap beat, first of all, get yourself a big cup of coffee. You're going to need to bring a lot of energy to the table. Don't forget to take a deep breath. And doing so will allow you to be more present in the moment and feel more clear in your mind, allowing you to make better choices while you're working at the computer and working on the DAW of your choice. Alright, so up at the top bar here, you can see it's set to 130 BPM. Go ahead and change that to 140. Click the little plus tab right here and select Flex. Now within Flex, you go under the free packs and download the essential strings. I already downloaded it, so it's right here. So when you have the pack downloaded, I want you to click it and then go to Cello's Pizzicato and follow along with this melody that I create. So this is what I was able to come up with. Here's the pattern, how it looks, and this is what it sounds like. So after a bit of messing around with this melody, at the last quarter of it, I ended up creating a little variation that goes kind of like this. So in full context, you can kind of hear this. I'll play this through once and then we'll move on with some extra strings and then some drums. I'm thinking that we create some longer sustained strings to add to this. Going back to Flex, essential strings, and we'll try cello sustain. Okay, we'll go with that. That's pretty cool. Now, I'd like to go and layer that up a little more. Now we duplicate that whole pattern, make sure it's lined up, not exactly having to attach it to the grid or anything like that. We're just going with what feels and sounds right. So take a listen. That's pretty cool if you ask me. So I'm going to create a super dark and distorted bass pad, kind of like a horn sounding thing, and then maybe I'll layer it with something else, but I essentially want to create that dramatic booming trailer type sound. So going in and adding a 3x OSC. So I went in and added a 3x OSC to the master. Here's how it sounds currently. Now bring down all of the coarse levels here, coarse pitch levels. Then bring it down even lower. Change one of them to a sawtooth. Then routes to free mixer track. We kind of have the sound already, but it's very basic sounding. It doesn't have exactly what we need, so add a chorus to it. And we're gonna distort the crap out of it. So one thing I like to use is Decapitator by Sound Toys. So I went ahead and tweaked the settings a bit on the Decapitator. I turned down the drive, turned up the low cut a tiny bit, messed with the high cut, and I added the pattern that I was kind of working with, and this is what it sounds like. Now that's nasty. Kind of that sound we're going for, but I might have to say it. We need some dark brass. So I went ahead and added in this little sound here. And I'm gonna work on the attack and release sound of it. Had to get rid of that little clicky sound at the end. But it's essentially just this one preset that I went and tweaked it a tiny bit, turned off the delay and reverb, and layered on top of the bass sound that we originally made, and this is what it sounds like. Now I'm gonna go and make it more of a rhythmic pattern by just chopping it in certain areas. Boom, boom. Now hear that in context with everything else and it's going to sound pretty cool. Hell yeah. Now duplicate them two patterns. And I want to add a little variation towards the end. Alright, so I think it's time to go in and work on the drums. I'm gonna go into my sample pack folder and see what we got. So, plug drum kit. It's kind of cool. All right. I feel like that's a good background perk. Okay, let's try to find the right type of snare. That's that's a hard snare for sure. Alright, let's add the snare. Oh. Alright, so I want to go into the kick drum pattern, into the effects, and I want to distort the crap out of it. Decapitator. Alright, so for the rim, that sound is like a bit lengthy. I'm going to turn it down on the length and turn down a little bit on the out. So now it's like a bit snappier. So that works. That works for a pattern. See if I repeat it, if it sounds good. Now I want to do something pretty cool, and that's called a reverse sidechain, I believe it's called. Basically I want to take the kick drum, which is right here, and do a reverse little sidechain to it from the bass. So every time the kick comes in, the bass hits a bit harder out. So I just brought both of the bass sounds into the same out channel on the mixer, and now I'm gonna do the reverse sidechain effect. So what you do is you go in the mixer and click that little arrow at the bottom and click sidechain to this track, and I go in usually slot 10 and click Fruity Limiter. From there you can click the compressor, sidechain, it's that little blank area, and you swipe up and click 1. Usually it's under 1. So then when you bring that threshold down, that's when it's going to trigger. So bring that threshold down with the knee So this bass is just a little too crispy sounding, so I'm going to turn down the highs using an EQ. Okay, so I don't want to dig any deeper into this rabbit hole. I'm liking how it sounds. Now moving on, adding a little distortion to that on top of the bass is gonna really make it shine a bit. So the cello sustain, one cool thing I like to do is add a little LFO tool to it. You can use whatever you want, but I'm just going to go with the Gross Beat plugin. Now when you open Gross Beat, you can go inside the momentary tab, and then you can find the sidechain channel there. I'm going to take the first cello, the first melody we did, and I'm going to start to edit that a little. I'm just going to throw a little EQ and make that sound kind of dope. Looks like it needs a little compression because it's peaking at the wrong times. So bring the attack down, the release down. We want that to be crisp. So then I bring the gain up. I seem to always make snares a little too loud, so went and turned that down a bit. You know, there's tons of little things you learn throughout the years, and one thing you will pay attention to is your own specific style, your own sound, and that's something for you to discover. For me, it's always been a harder, more aggressive type, and I also try to go for what's most exciting to me. So yeah, we're starting to run low on time, so I'm just gonna add a couple extra things to the master channel. I'm really liking this so far, so one thing we can do is try to compress it a little bit, and then I'll add a Gullfoss, which you'll get to see in a second. Time for a Gullfoss. That'll create a really cool final master type sound. Now you go and recover and tame it, go about 20% on each, and then go from there. that's it for the tutorial. Honestly, it's turning out pretty good, and now if I were to go finish it, I would honestly just duplicate it a bunch of times, and that's kind of it. I mean, it's basically ready for an artist to go on top of, because they don't like when there's so many changes, so many transitions, and it can start to get a little overwhelming. So when you keep it simple like this and you really just hone in on what's like the truest, purest form of this music, then you can really make it sound as good as it wants. That's why I'm able to create songs like this and many more other hard songs and different types of things that can make it sound good. And honestly, if you keep working towards it, you'll get to the level where you can work really quickly, and that's kind of my goal, to just get faster and better. So yeah, if you enjoyed, give me a thumbs up,